moment, child's play becomes a calling to a graceful pathway. Simply running, no longer without purpose, but the power of performance. To swing on a star, play must take on new meaning, become art and sport all at once. It's when Canadian girls grow up to be young women, to put it on the line against the best in the Commonwealth. England's a confident champ.
Rule Britannia.
Maybe overly so. But Australia is no underdog. Down under, Canada's playing with the big girls now, but still capable of youthful dreams and the one hope that if everything goes right, they just might be the cream of the crop. Great expectations on the part of the athletes can barely be contained under the roof of Putra Stadium. Tonight, the women's team gold medal is on the line in Carol Angela in 1994. England won this thing. Canada was a dramatic second, Australia third, but as we all know at the Commonwealth Games, history has a way of changing.
What a difference 4 years can make. At this time, Australia is absolutely going for gold. Everyone expects them to win, but you've got to ask yourself, Scott, can they handle that kind of pressure? I've been really impressed with them all week, and they've certainly made an impact with the judges, but they saw their men give it away last night. They too were expected to win, so I think it's going to come down to a test of psychology.
What about the Canadians, in particular their national champion, Katie Rowland? She's been through some difficulties since arriving in Malaysia.
She came here in fantastic shape. Unfortunately, on day one of training, she sprained her ankle on vault. That's going to put a lot of pressure on our younger, less experienced athletes, but Katie Rowland is determined to compete.
Big test for the Canadians, Katie Rowland in particular. They're on the vault to start.
She's got to put that ankle to the test right out of the blocks.
There'll be two vaults. They'll average the scores.
She's running well. That is almost the best I've ever seen her do that vault. Mentally, a very tough athlete.
17 years old, the Canadian champion from Georgetown, Ontario. We now go to the English, Melissa Wilcox, on the floor exercise. She's 15 years old, 1997 British junior champion.
Scott, she may be a junior, but she tumbles like a senior. As a team, England has some huge tumbling lines planned. And there's a big one, full twisting, double back.
At this year's European Championships, Melissa was 9th all around. That's the highest placing ever by a British gymnast.
Scott, I think you're looking at Britain's future right here. Nice double pike. Through to 2.5 punch front. She's already done 3 major tumbling lines. Excellent turn and jump combinations. And she has a 4th and final tumbling line planned right here. Triple twist, finishing extremely strong.
There's 15-year-old Melissa Wilcox of England. Outstanding routine on the floor exercise to begin her country's defense of the gold medal. Katie Rowland's second vault now, 8.987 on the first.
And the second one's going to hurt a little more. A lot of impact on landing, and Katie is just topping it out for Canada. This is fantastic, Scott. She's got to be in pain, bumps it way up. Front pike, tries to hold on to that landing. A lot of impact. Good form in the air. To take a step with that ankle, that's totally acceptable.
8.950 for the second vault. Her average 8.968. The Canadian national champion, Katie Rowland. And now here's her teammate, Emilie Fournier, 15 years old, from Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec.
Fournier has a very explosive vault planned. Yurchenko half front layout. Look at her fly. Emilie without her own personal coaches. So this is actually her first trip alone without personal coaches. And she is beautiful in the air. No deductions in the air, just that 1/10 for the landing.
Solid 9-2 on the first vault. This is the first year on the national team for Emily.
And obviously a bright future, Scott. There's a real psychology that goes into traveling alone. She's used to getting important cues, important instructions from her personal coaches, and now she's got to be out there handling it on her own. Dynamic run. Yurchenko half front layout, tried to nail down that landing, just couldn't anticipate it. It's a blind one.
There's Melissa Wilcox of England waiting for her score, 9.387 on the floor exercise.
For the floor exercise,
here's Wilcox's teammate, the veteran Annika Reeder, 19 years old. 1994 in Victoria, she won a gold on the floor exercise, and of course England, the defending gold medal champions.
The big guns firing here. The choreography has to express and represent the athlete, but the tumbling has to be bang on, and England is so powerful.
Lone holdover from that gold medal championship team for England in '94 in Victoria.
And you know what that means, Scott? That means she's got a lot of experience, she knows how to compete, and she knows how to strut her stuff. Front handspring, front full through to a front pike. Now it's an easier line, but remember that's her third. She too has 4 tumbling lines planned. Trying to breathe, rest. Fatigue really sets in. Her legs are going to feel heavy and tired, but she's got to push ahead. She's got a big one planned. Double pike. Oh, England is going to push ahead of Canada with tricks like that.
Annika Reeder competed for England at the Olympic Games in 1996. Key member of that Commonwealth Games team that won gold 4 years ago. There's the second vault for Emily Fournier, 9.050. Her average 9.125. Now, Veronique Leclerc of Canada. This is her event.
And Canada's hopes for a gold medal are on her shoulders. This is her best event. Oh, Scott, she missed her right hand. She was slightly forward on the beat board, which caused her right hand to slip off the horse. She's actually lucky she did not sustain an injury here. Watch the right hand. Completely off the horse. She comes down as safely as she could.
Well, that was near calamity for Veronique Leclerc of Canada.
And actually a total disaster for any medal possibility.
Look at that score, 9.625 for Annika Reeder of England on the floor exercise.
Now she's dealing with heartbreak. What she's capable of. Split-second timing is required on this event. You must have your hands securely placed on the horse. Watch her hands. Now she's got good contact, which allows her to bump it up in the air and do what she's so good at.
That break for Canada on Leclerc's first vault, which was a 7.850. 8.912 is the second for a total of 8.381. That won't get her to a vault event final, and that is very disappointing for Veronique Leclerc of Canada. Up next, the Australians go to the podium in KL. All three powers are now into the mix in the women's team final at the Putra Stadium. Canada working on its second apparatus, the uneven bars. Here's Emily Fournier.
And Scott, she has intricate pirouette work, and she has 2 tricks in her routine named after a former Canadian national team member, Koyuki Oka. There's the Oka, and she does it right into a big release move. Ginger, and she's got it. I'm impressed with how Fournier is actually handling this competition. without personal coaches. She struggled a little bit in training, but it doesn't matter what you would do in training. Competition is where it counts.
Out of the Gymnastics Club in Montreal, Emily Fournier was solid on the vault for Canada. Here's another look at her bars.
She was telling me how much she's been struggling, but there's no evidence of it here. Airtime to spare on that Ginger release move that will impress the judges.
Canada got a good start to the competition on the vault. There's her teammate Lise Leveillé, Katie Rowland. 9-1-6-2 for Emily Fournier, so she's 2 for 2 so far in this team final for Canada. One of the young Australian gymnasts, Trudy McIntosh, 14 years old, to the vault.
And Scott, you're looking at Australia's future. This kid is dynamite.
Her first vault was a 9-1-6-2. Now a second. They will average the score for a total.
Very few people in the world can do this vault. It's a front, in the layout position, completely a blind landing. She knows exactly where the floor is.
Said the best moment of her life was when she was selected to the Commonwealth Games team. It came very late.
And who can blame her? What a moment. Watch, bumps it way up, not tucked, not piked. That is pure layout.
Coached by Mark Carlton, who is on the Australian coaching staff here in KL. Now back to the uneven bars and Veronique Leclerc.
And you know, Scott, she has to have a heavy heart right now. She had all her hopes on a gold medal on vault. That possibility has been dashed. Fantastic. Shabashnikova, she is swinging well right now. To be honest, Canada really needed Veronique's vault score, and she knows that. But discipline is the name of the game in this sport, and she's showing a lot of it right now. Swinging well. Michelle Charon steps in for the release move. Looking good, winding up. She's got a double layout. There it is. Good for her.
Big recovery by the 17-year-old from Granby, Quebec.
Huge release move. Has to swing back, reach for that bar. Two bars are so far apart now, Scott. They're out to 150 centimeters, so you've really got to fly to catch it.
9-5-6-2 for Veronique Leclerc of Canada. The second fault for Trudy McIntosh, 9-1-6-2. She averages out at the same 9-1-6-2. Here's her teammate, Zina McLaughlin, second all around at the Pacific Alliance Championships in Winnipeg, Manitoba, a rising star.
And a lot is expected from her. Talk about a psychological test. She's the leader of this team, and she's expected to win, and boy, she looks like she's right on the mark. Yurchenko layout 1.5. Fantastic start value of 9.8, so you know it's valuable. Bumps it up 1.5. Can't see the floor. Pure anticipation.
This year's Australian national champion, Zina McLaughlin. Here's a young Canadian 15-year-old Crystal Gilmore from Cambridge, Ontario, competes under the direction of national team coach Elvira Sadi.
And talk about talent plus. Crystal's got every trick in the book planned. Fantastic Jaeger. Struggles a little bit with execution. That's due to lack of experience. Needs to tighten everything up a little bit. But she's way ahead of the game when it comes to pure trick power. Again, Michelle Charon will step in for safety. Giant full to Kachev. Oh, she absolutely had the bar. Just slips off at the bottom. And you know, Scott, again, that comes down to experience. She just needs a little bit more of it.
Right back up on the bars. She competed this year at the World Youth Games in Moscow.
And that was her first international trip. This is her second. Big dismount, double layout. Oh, and again, lack of experience. She just got caught up in that mat. She has to learn to take those landings and absorb the impact.
Zina McLaughlin of Australia was a 9.375 on the first vault, and here's the second.
Australia's hope for the gold medal in individual all-round shape 2 missed a hand, Scott, and had to completely change her vault. Remember, she did a 1.5 on the first vault. That was only a full. Watch her hands. Right hand slips off the horse completely, and she too is lucky to come down safely.
7.612, the second vault, average at 8.493. So the Australian Zina McLaughlin struggles there. Crystal Gilmore, 8.312. There was talent there, but a couple of mistakes from inexperience. All teams have completed at least one now. First scoring indication has England in the lead over Australia and Canada. England enjoying an early lead over Australia in the women's team final. Here's another one of the young Aussies, 14-year-old Alana Slater.
Peggy Liddick has really increased the skill level on every event for every athlete. They're pushing for all the big tricks, and that was a beauty. Jaeger, but look, Scott, she's taking an extra swing before her pack salto. That will cost her 3/10. Alana has a lot of talent. And this is a good event for her. Beautiful hop giant full. Got a little caught on the after swing. Hop right to a ginger. There's so much packed into this routine, but like Crystal Gilmore, I think she's struggling with the amount of content. Getting ready for a dismount. Full twisting. Oh, it's too short, Scott. She needs to hold on longer, ride it up in the air, and get that valuable air time to be able to fit it all in.
Began gymnastics when she was only 18 months old. A late addition at the national trials to this Australian team.
You can see right here, she's got to hold on a lot longer than that to get up in the air. She's trying to do 2 flips with a full twist.
All right.
There she is with national coach Peggy Liddick, the former coach of Shannon Miller, the world champion. Now to Crystal Gilmore of Canada, the balance beam.
Off to a great start. You know she's going to be disappointed after bars. And this is no event to be dealing with frustration or disappointment. Back handspring, full twist. Look at that. Very few athletes in the entire world do that, and she's already doing it at such a young age. Switch split, right into a straddle jump. Straddle 3/4 Shishanova. Showing good composition, Scott. You want the big tricks, but you also need those beautiful jumps. Looking very poised, a lot of confidence. Remember, this event is physical, technical, and psychological. Oh, needed to pull that to a finished position. It actually didn't look that crooked.
So she's off the beam. That will be a major deduction for Crystal Gilmore. Canada is actually working one apparatus ahead of the Australians and the English. This is the 3rd event in this team final for the Canadians.
And Canada needs every score desperately. And that fall is going to hurt. Now, it's not that she can't do these skills, Scott, but right now her program is probably a little bigger than she can handle under pressure. Round off back handspring, 2.5, still fighting right to the end.
She's the pride of the Cambridge Kips and a key member for Team Canada here in Kuala Lumpur. There's her coach, Elvira Sadi.
And it all comes down to experience, but this is a huge dismount. Combination tumbling, so tough to do. Round up back handspring, she has to keep it straight. Right to the 2.5, blind landing. Here's her back handspring tucked full. She's way up above camera level. You can see how narrow that target has to be. She's aiming for every landing.
8.925 for Crystal Gilmore of Canada after the fall off the beam. Now to Annika Reeder of England. 2 vaults for this English veteran.
And she's a powerhouse. Likes this event, and she's good at it. Souk half front layout. That's the Phelps, named after American J.C. Phelps.
Annika Reeder came up with a brilliant floor exercise for England.
Now she is slightly piked in the air. Right here she should be laid out, slight pike, but that's only a minor 0.1, 0.2.
9.3 the score on the first vault for Reeder. Now to the second, and remember, over these 2 vaults they average the score for a total.
You know, Scott, her confidence has to be up after a good performance on the first one, but you're right, they both count, so the pressure is still on.
Setting up, and the approach.
The speed is important here. You need a lot of it. She's dynamic, and that was a much better vault. Better position in the air, showed the judges a nice straight body layout.
She'll hope to better a 9-3. Let's go back to Canada and the balance beam and 16-year-old Lise Leveillé from Burnaby, BC. There is her coach in the audience.
Paid her own way to get here. That's Nancy Beyer. Paid her way to get here to see her athlete compete at the Commonwealth Games. Talk about dedication.
Lise's mom is also in the audience, and Lise has not seen her in 3 weeks.
Back handspring, layout, layout. I'll tell you what she's seen a lot of, and that's that balance beam. Lise is a balance beam specialist. Rock solid, and that's what Canada has to depend on.
Came up with a great result for Canada at the Pacific Alliance Championships in Winnipeg this July. She was 5th in a great field.
While making her mark, Scott, Canada needs beam workers, and look at this. Punch front with a jump before and after. Every time you do combination work, the judges reward you with bonus points. And Lise is trying to get every 10th for Canada. Right now, she's making it look deceivingly easy. And that's her strength. Make it look easy. Make it solid. Now, this is a critical point, Scott. She knows she has a great routine, but the dismount is dangerous if you're not focused. Round off. Double back. She is right on. That is one mentally tough competitor. Her mother's going crazy.
Yeah, there's her mom all the way from Burnaby.
Sitting in the stands is more nerve-wracking than being on the beam sometimes. You can see Lise is heavily taped in the ankles. A lot of long hours of training go into perfection like that. But this was spectacular. Back handspring, layout, layout. She sees the beam really clearly. Her coaches have done a fantastic job. Lise has done a great job for Canada. We need that score.
Playing a specialized role and doing it well. 9-3-5 for Lise Leveillé brings tears to her mom's eyes, and that's just a great sight here at the arena in KL for Canada. Annika Reeder, second vault, 9-3-6-2 to average at 9-3-3-1, so the English veteran rock solid for her team. Zina McLaughlin, a bad second vault for Australia. She has a chance to make up for that on the uneven bars.
A lot of pressure on her shoulders, but this is her event. Australia has truly international routines with moves like that. Pike Jaeger. The judges love those high-flying release moves. The amplitude of her swing is just excellent. That means she's always stretched. She's always straight. Beautiful double front half out. Now that's a dismount.
Well, Zina McLaughlin is big news in Australia. Clearly the experienced member of this young, up-and-coming team.
Pike Jaeger, excellent execution. The judges are going to have to really work hard to find a deduction. Very clean work. And Peggy Liddick likes it. She's going to keep pushing her after that weak vault performance. She's come through on bars.
Don't you love that score? 9-5-5-0. All teams have been to 2 events. England clings to the lead over Australia. Canada running a close third, and they're on their way to the floor exercise.
I admire the sport because it gives you a lot of discipline. Coming to training every day takes a lot of hard work and dedication. It shapes your personality. Training with the same girls every day, a lot of friendship and bonding. It's It's a good sport. It helps a lot in your life and everything that you do.
After winning the Nationals earlier this year, Katie Rowland turned in a fine performance at the Pacific Alliance Championships, taking bronze on the floor exercise. The Georgetown, Ontario resident has burgeoning confidence in her abilities.
You have to be a kind of person, very confident in yourself, not afraid to show off and perform your routine to the judges and to the audience. I'd feel proud to represent my country. Being Canadian, we should be able to prove ourselves that we can compete with all the other countries and hopefully maybe finish on top.
Competitor number 2.
Courage is one of the trademarks of Katie Rowland, the national champion. She'll need it now, hurting a sore and sprained ankle. She goes to her best event, the floor exercise, and Canada needs to make up ground.
Well, team therapist Mike Sutton has done everything humanly possible to get Katie Rowland through this meet. So his magic and her determination, she's off to a good start. 2.5 punch front. Now, Scott, she may put the triple twist here and get it out of the way. And she does. Good for her. She is out of bounds, but at this point with that ankle, we're glad to have her on her feet and getting a score. She has finished with a triple twist in the last line, which is far more impressive to the judges. But at this particular point, Canada just needs a score. So she'll finish with a simple tumbling line and try to conserve that ankle.
It is a beautiful and elegant routine. We saw it in Winnipeg at the Pacific Alliance Championships, where she came through with a bronze medal for Canada.
Well, Katie has a great look on the floor. Very dramatic. She'll plan the front tumbling line here. Good decision. Nice and safe. That'll be a good score for Canada.
Well, Katie Rowland is forced into playing a role for her team at these Commonwealth Games because of the ankle injury at the start of training, but was solid on the floor exercise and did what she could for her team.
She, too, is here without her personal coaches, and I'm sure that played a factor. I think she'd like that moral support, but look at her tough it out, doing the best she can under the circumstances.
Native of Georgetown, Ontario. Congratulations from her teammates on a 9-1 on the floor exercise. Here's another young Australian, Katarina Frketic, 15 years old, from New South Wales. Up to the balance beam.
Now, unlike Canada, Australia funded all their personal coaches, so they're really taking this meet very seriously and as a learning experience heading into Sydney. They want all their athletes, all their coaches there, and you can see the benefit.
Twice the national junior champion in '96 and again this year in '98.
great combination tumbling. Back handspring into a chest roll. The judges are going to like it because she changes levels, even though it's powerful tumbling. Punch front salto is becoming a very common skill because of its value. It's given a D, and that is given an E. Remember, A, B's, and C's are fairly easy. D's and E's, tough to do. Katerina has so many of them. The judges are going to really like this routine because it's so interesting to watch. Look at her fight, holding on to every 10th.
Australians currently trailing England after 2 apparatus complete. The English will be working on the uneven bars.
She's a powerful tumbler, and there's her dismount double back. 1/10 on that landing. But she's shown Australia that she knows how to stay on the beam, and Peggy Liddick is going to like that.
And so now we go to Kelly Hackman, 17 years old, of England, on the bars.
Now, Australia has international standard routines, but England is learning to fly high on this event, too. Big pike Jaeger. Oh, hit her feet. That will be a 210 deduction. In comparison with Australia, it doesn't have the flow or the amplitude yet, but it's got some big tricks. Double front dismount. These athletes are getting caught up in that sting mat, as they call it. It helps protect the impact, but terribly difficult to stick on that soft mat.
Here's the score for Katarina Frketic, 9-2-3-7. She played her role. That was her only event in this team final for Australia, and she comes through. Meantime, Kelly Hackman of England, a score of 8-9-7-5 on the uneven bars. All teams have finished 3 events. Australia is now into a narrow lead over England. Canada 0.6 back in third. But they must now wait because they have posted their final score after 4 apparatus. The Canadian men on hand to provide support. The final rotation coming up in the women's team final. Final rotation in the women's team event. Looks like it's a battle between Australia and England for the gold medal. Right now, Australia in the lead. Here's Alana Slater on the floor exercise.
And a beautiful floor worker. She reminds me so much of Elena Prodanova from the Russian national team. She has a very similar look. She started strong with a 2.5 to punch front. Triple twist. She is struggling to keep it in bounds. Dramatic. The crowd loves when they can join in. She's not buckling under the pressure. All eyes in Putra Stadium are on her. That was a front handspring double twist. Very rarely ever seen.
Alana's just 14 years old. Remember, Australia has never won the gold medal in the team event at the Commonwealth Games.
I think that's about to change in a hurry. They are not suffering from the inconsistencies that Canada has. Fantastic performance. She's going to be delighted with that.
One of the young, outstanding members of Team Australia, Alana Slater, on the floor exercise.
Oh, you went up on that triple, all right, huh? Now you gotta
Always a word of advice from Peggy Liddick.
The coaching never stops. The learning experiences continue to go on and on. Whip back, 2.5 punch front. That is spectacular combination tumbling.
Critical time for Alana Slater to come up with a big performance, as it is for Lisa Mason, 16 years old, of England, 1996 and 97, British all-around champion. England is on the balance beam and in tough.
This is a horse race, and England knows that they are challenging for that gold medal. This sport is physical, it's technical, and this event is psychological. It's a tough one to finish on. Big tumbling line planned here, Scott. The same one Canadian Crystal Gilmore did so well. Scott, her left foot was almost completely off the beam. Now that's experience, and that's what it does for you. Holds you on when gravity is ripping you off.
Confident words from Lisa in the opening to our show. Rule Britannia, Australia and Canada, beware. She's delivering on the beam.
And that's when it counts. Talk is cheap, but action works. Very focused. Switch split, quarter turn. Going to impress the judges with every aspect of this routine. The tricks, the tumbling. She cannot get too excited here, Scott. She knows that she's done a great job for England, but the dismount is critical. Double back, and she hangs on to it.
Well, that will keep England close to Australia in this final rotation. It's a given right now that Canada is going to finish third, but Lisa Mason has delivered for her squad.
That'll be a combination of relief and total joy.
Yeah, thank you.
You can do it, Zane.
Score now for Alana Slater, 9-3-6-2. And that's a great score for Australia. Keeps them in the hunt for this gold medal. Now to Zina McLaughlin, her teammate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final competitor from the Australian team for the floor exercise, competitor 209, Zina McLaughlin.
Scott, her score now is almost academic. Australia has done a great job tonight. But there's a lot of pride on the line, and she is the team leader. Whip through to double pike. Most girls need a back handspring before a big trick like that. The judges will love that. 2.5 punch front.
Zina, of course, looking ahead to the all-around championship, where I'm sure she'll battle Lisa Mason of England, amongst others.
You can see a little more maturity in her dance, and that's why it's so enjoyable to watch. Judges don't want to see athletes just quickly move from one tumbling line to the next. There needs to be some passion, some emotion, a little storytelling going on out there. Lovely jump combinations. The choreography is so important. And I know Peggy Liddick has worked extremely hard with all the Australian coaches to make the routines crisp, clean, classy, with precision tumbling skills. Nice finish for Zina.
Someone to watch at these Commonwealth Games, 17-year-old Zina McLaughlin, the experienced member of a very young Australian side, and a great floor exercise, as is almost always the case for her. Well, the Australians know they've got this gold medal. 9-6-7-5, an outstanding score for Lisa Mason of England on the balance beam. Yes, Lisa, very confident. But Australia's got this gold medal based on Zina McLaughlin's performance and all of her young teammates. There the Canadians, Emily Fournier, Katie Rowland, Lise Leveillé, and their coach Elvira Sadi, along with Veronique Leclerc. They win the bronze medal this time. Australia struggles to start, but grabs the gold for the first time in the women's team event. England falls to silver. Canada settles for third place.
Yeah, we did have a few falls here and there, but I think we really came together as a team today, and I'm really happy with how we did.
Another bronze medal for Canada in the team event. They were simply overpowered by the Australian women tonight.
Absolutely, Scott. We would have had to hit every single event, every team member doing her job in order to challenge for the silver. Now, although Australia did struggle on vault, on bars, it really doesn't matter because they have so much depth. That's an incredible team, and they definitely deserve that gold all by themselves.
England, of course, with the silver. You talked about a bright light for Canada. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Emily Fournier in the days to come.
Fournier was fantastic. She went out there, hit 4 for 4. Now, that's exactly what Canada needs to do. She qualified for 3 event finals and the individual all-around as well. Fantastic performance. Busy day at the Putra Stadium tomorrow. Both the men and the women compete in the individual all-around finals.